Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst things the British tabloids have ever done. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're going to be looking at the biggest scandals and controversies fueled by the UK's most notorious newspapers. Let us know in the comments which one you can't believe made it to print. Number 10. CORRIE bomb scare. A shocking story hit shelves in 2010. The country's favourite soap opera, Coronation Street, was going to be the victim of an attack by violent extremists. Not only did The Sun say the show was going to be bombed, but that Manchester police were already planning on countering it, something the police denied, saying they had no knowledge of any bomb threat. A few days later, and the truth came out. The Sun had simply published a baseless lie to stir up controversy ahead of CORRIE's 50th anniversary special, which the paper apologised for. In the end though, the 2010 tram crash and explosion were drama enough for the milestone. Number 9. Legxit. It's no secret that Nicola Sturgeon, First Minister of Scotland, is an ardent supporter of Scottish independence from the UK. British MPs in Westminster generally didn't support this, and in 2017 a meeting was organised between Sturgeon and Theresa May, Prime Minister at the time. But rather than focus on the political outcomes of the meeting, the Daily Mail ran the infamous headline, "Never mind Brexit, who won Legxit?" and went on to describe the legs of the two politicians in far more detail than necessary. The Mail was slammed for its crass sexism, and it's still not clear why Sarah Vine, wife of senior Tory MP Michael Gove, wanted to undermine the Tory leader in a national paper anyway. Number 8. Caroline Flack. The tabloids are far from neutral observers, and many senior politicians have criticised them for the legitimate harm they cause. That was never clearer than when television presenter Caroline Flack tragically took her life in 2020 after a relentless attack from the tabloids due to an ongoing court case. The Sun came under criticism, publishing another attack piece about Flack just a day before her body was found. The piece was quickly removed, but The Sun and other outlets still posted just as many stories capitalising on Flack's death as they did her life. Number 7. Posh Spice kidnapping scandal. In 2002, an explosive news story broke that Victoria Beckham was said to be the victim of an elaborate kidnapping plot. The exposé was published by the now defunct paper News of the World, which said it had received a tip from one of the kidnappers. The scheme was supposed to hold Posh Spice to ransom. Police investigated and eventually found that the story was a complete fabrication. In their desperation for a scoop, News of the World had printed a story from a witness Crown prosecutor said was unreliable, so unreliable that the entire case, which led to numerous arrests, was thrown out of court. Number 6. The man who hated Britain. During his tenure as the leader of the Labour Party, Ed Miliband was definitely put through the ringer by the British press. But for many, the Daily Mail went a step too far by running an attack piece on his deceased father, Ralph. The Mail gave Miliband the nickname Red Ed and claimed he was part of a plot to bring back socialism. Their evidence? One diary entry written by Ralph when he was 17 years old in 1941. It's fair enough to not agree with someone's political beliefs, but attacking their father, who died in 1994, was terrible behaviour in the eyes of many Brits. Not to mention that Ralph Miliband, who allegedly hates Britain, served in the Royal Navy during the Second World War. Number 5. The Express's Diana obsession. During her time in the public eye, Diana, Princess of Wales, was a fixture in the British press. Everything she said and did had to be disseminated by the media, to such an extent that many blamed the media, specifically the paparazzi, for her tragic death in 1997. But in the years since, the Express has continually put out stories about Diana on a weekly basis, digging up more and more dirt on the People's Princess. The paper has been repeatedly criticised for its clear obsession with Diana over the years, and its habit of running stories about Diana when there are major news stories in the world, including on the anniversary of the 7/7 attacks. Number 4. Gotcha. The Falklands War, in general, is a controversial conflict to say the least. Both Britain and Argentina still claim their version of history is the right one. Regardless though, the Sun's merciless reporting on the war in the early 80s was considered by some as stomach-churning. One headline of this period that drew scrutiny was Gotcha, celebrating the destruction of Argentine ship ARA General Belgrano. The Belgrano was sunk by a submarine, and more than 300 people lost their lives. The Sun also encouraged its readers to sponsor a missile used in the war. Even for some who firmly supported the war, the Sun's apparent celebration over human lives being lost proved a bit too crass. Number 3. Fake Iraq photos. In 2004, the Daily Mirror, still helmed by Piers Morgan at the time, ran an extremely contentious story about British soldiers mistreating enemy prisoners during the Iraq War. But it eventually came out that somebody had completely faked the photos and sent them to the Mirror in part of a hoax that the paper fell for. It would have been a huge scoop if the images were real, but they were promptly discredited by the British Army. In response, Morgan was unceremoniously sacked from the Mirror and forced to leave the building without even saying goodbye to his staff. Number 2. Phone hacking scandal. The news of the world isn't around anymore, and this scandal is the entire reason why. In one of the worst episodes in the history of the British press, it came to light in 2011 that the news of the world had been hacking into the phones not only of celebrities to get stories, but of murdered victims and deceased children. It led to the famous Leveson inquiry, called for by British Prime Minister David Cameron, and eventually the entire paper was shut down because companies refused to advertise in it. There was an expensive, drawn-out criminal trial that led to the convictions of people involved and many more high-profile resignations. Number 1. Hillsborough coverage. In 1989, a tragedy like no other hit the world of football. A catastrophic crush during an FA Cup match in Sheffield led to the deaths of 96 people and the injuries of hundreds more. In response, The Sun printed an appalling front page apparently blaming Liverpool fans for the disaster, claiming, among other things, that the fans were picking the pockets of the dead in the aftermath. Suffice to say, absolutely nothing The Sun said had any basis in fact. Hillsborough is now known to be the fault of the police rather than football fans, but it still took The Sun decades to issue an apology. To this day, the paper is completely banned from sale in Liverpool. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo UK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.